I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word. It's like we were just kind of given from the casting, because at this point Mallrats was big studio, so it's like Kevin didn't have as much say into the project as he did with Clerks. So this is a whole different kind of ball game, and so we were kind of like, okay, yeah, you can bring those guys in for an audition. So I can't think of the proper word I want to use right now. But it's like, okay,
sounds
you want to have them
blown off.
I feel like a little bit, yeah, because I remember going into the audition, and honestly, I can't remember what role I even went in there for anymore. But I do know that it was, somewhere in the lead area. And when I was asked, give my name and the role that I'm going to audition for, and you say that in front of the camera, and I just remember seeing the casting director, one of the people in there, besides Kevin and Mosier, just kind of like get this look on her face like, huh? And then kind of look, I forget to whom. It's like, and basically, like, why is she auditioning for that role? Kind of a thing. So, well, that shot, don't shoot me in the foot that early. It's like, let me at least do my audition before you shoot me in the face and get this insecure actor all worked up now. It's like, well, why am I even auditioning?
Can I ask, where was the audition? Was it out on the West Coast?
No, it was in Manhattan somewhere.
Oh,
I don't remember where.
You were still living in Jersey at this point?
Yeah. I didn't move out to LA until 97, 98. I still stayed in Jersey because at that point I had my daughter, and she was still, I felt too young for me to just kind of pick up and move.
Gotcha.
So I was kind of watching my obligations, especially being a single parent, until I felt she was old enough for me to figure out what I'm going to do. Plus, actually, I have to say that at the time of Clerks, just after that, I never expected or anticipated ever moving to LA, I got to say. I never saw that, although Brian always talks about coming out here, and the funny thing is, it's like he's still back there and I'm out here now.
Wow.
But yeah, no, that audition was not a very good experience for me.
So they pulled you in. You were under the assumption that maybe you had, hopefully, at least a little bit of an inside track, being that you had a history here, and was it just basically a disconnect where all these new people that were studio execs and now involved in a Kevin Smith movie weren't really, feeling the whole old crew, not really maybe as familiar with you guys?
Honestly, I don't know what it was. I mean, yes, Clerks kind of made a name for itself, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it made a name for us. So to them, we were still unknowns, we had no name as far as they were concerned. They wanted names. That's the only thing that I can assume.
Booted you for Shannon Doherty.
I don't, who knows? It's like I said, it's like, it was kind of like, oh, okay, we'll let them audition, just for the sake of auditioning because, they were in Clerks and whatever. And it's like, but they kind of,
right.
Never gave me the benefit to actually give it my best. But then again, it's something that I had never really done before. Yes, I did the audition, and you're like, oh, and here's another thing. It's like, looking at the 10th anniversary DVD of my audition, I don't know how I got the part of Veronica. Frankly, I feel like I've done that piece much better than that night. But hey, the emotion got to Kevin, so I guess that's what did it for him. But, all a learning experience.
Absolutely. And it says, reading further in your biographical information, it mentions that despite the Mallrats thing, you were offered a role in Chasing Amy, which that was Kevin's movie after Mallrats, is that right? Or was that his?
That was the third film that Kevin got to shoot.
Okay.
And
that was that was a smaller movie in budget. I'm certain of it than Mallrats was, but
I believe so.
But so how did that work out then? Was that another audition situation?
No, actually, I didn't have to audition for the role. He did offer it up to me. He did let me read the particular part of that script, and excuse me, I just kind of getting over sinus infection. But after I read it, I just kind of looked at it, and I didn't know that I could do that. I didn't know if I was comfortable with the role, because he offered me the role opposite Joey Lauren Adams as her girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, who knows now? It's like hindsight. Who can tell whether at my experience now versus my experience then, whether
the world and pop culture have changed so much. I mean, even thinking back to that, that's another thing that at the time, I remember seeing that movie. Actually, I saw it at college in an auditorium because it was sort of a double header with Kevin actually coming in and doing a Q&A. And that was right after it got released as well. And that was like pretty groundbreaking stuff in and of itself for a comedy to explore all those issues. But fast forward to now, I mean, things are a lot different. Things are a lot more commonplace as far as seeing, seeing lesbians in our society, seeing lesbians in different forms of pop culture. And, I mean, do you think it would have been a different situation if all of this came down today?
I think about that a lot, actually. And it's not that I'm homophobic or anything like that. My brother is gay. It's not anything of that nature. It's more of a whether I was able to do that and whether I was confident enough to be able to pull that off, I think, too. But then again, it's like the other thing that I kind of put to my mind is I don't know if, I can't remember from reading the script whether it would have been Veronica or if it was just somebody else. I can't remember that. And also, after having seen it, and after having seen the person that they actually did cast, she was very alternative, tattoos, piercings, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, would they have done that to me? Like, as putting myself in the position of a casting director, I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see me there. It just doesn't make any sense. But I don't know what they had in mind for the character when they had me in mind for the character. You know what I mean?
Right. So maybe it was a different vision of the character that was adjusted when they got somebody different in the role, or one of those things we'll never know. Well, but that's just what it is. It's one of those crossroads in life. And so what was your, and I should say, what is your relationship? Do you still have any sort of relationship with Kevin or any of the crew?
The people that I keep in touch with the most are Brian and Scott Schaffer, who played the Chili's Matt. I consider my relationship with Kevin a working relationship, where it's like we never really touched base outside of it and outside of any promotional things that we did. But I'm a fan of Kevin. I enjoy his movies. I'm a fan of his work. Other than Clerks, Chasing Amy is one of my favorites, as is Jersey Girl and New State, and all, So,
has there been any discussions of you getting involved in any of the other projects that he had going on over the years, or anything? We'll get to the future in a second, but
not since Chasing Amy.
Okay. I mean, even thinking back to like when they tried to do the Clerks animated series, I'm trying to remember. I don't think your character was involved in that at all.
No, and I was never approached about the animated series either, or even doing any of the voices or, anything like that. Basically, it was when I was allowed to audition for Mallrats, and when I was offered the role in Chasing Amy. Other than that, there was never anything else.
Gotcha. Understood. Is that something? I mean, even looking toward the future, obviously, it's pretty well publicized that some semblance of a Clerks 3 is coming. Is that something that you were interested in either seeing or being involved in?
Well, I'd be a fool to say no. All I know is what has been out there. I've not been approached by anybody. I have been sent some of the Q&As that Kevin has done on his tour right now with the animated series that he has with Jason. And so it's out there. I do the Google alerts and all that kind of stuff. So I do see my name attached, and I have heard it out of his mouth, but I've not been approached about anything yet. So, I really can't say what's going on because I don't know.
So you're in the movie, but somebody forgot to tell you.
Yeah, to some degree, yeah.
That should be an interesting story to watch, but
but it would be very interesting to see where the character has gone.
Yeah, and it would be an awesome. I mean, just the kinds of fans that these movies have. They'd love to see these sort of throwbacks and these characters come back and sort of connect all those dots. I'm sure they would love to see you. Do you get a lot of requests to do conventions and things like that?
I have. I've been doing conventions since, I would probably say, I think 2008 or somewhere around there. Okay. I was first contacted through, I think it was MySpace at the time. And I was like, what? Who is this? And funny story is that they claim to have involvement with all these other people, and little did they know that, okay, I can contact that person, this person, that person regarding these people, because I actually did know some people at that time through friends and all that kind of stuff. And so it seemed to be somewhat legit, and so I contacted them, and I asked them, all right, so what is this? What are you talking about? And they told me what it involved. I'm like, people pay money for my autographs? Yeah, like, come on. It just doesn't, it's not computing in the brain,
You have to give yourself some credit here. You're
all new stuff. So it's like, I hadn't heard about conventions at that time. I hadn't heard about all this other stuff. It's something that I know very well now, but, when new things come along, and yeah, it's like maybe I don't give myself enough credit, but hey, I'm an actor. We're all insecure,
Okay, I think we're all insecure no matter what we do, but
right, exactly.
Even if you don't want to give yourself the credit, I think the important thing is that you have to look at just the enormity, the magnitude of the influence that one movie has had even today, and maybe even more so. It's one of those things where I think it just gains more and more of a following as the years go on. So, hey, you're a part of that, whether you like it or not.
and you know what? And that's been the really nice thing about going to these conventions and meeting these people and finding out how it's affected their lives. It's like that you made a difference in somebody's life. And then seeing the generations that are now loving the movie as well. I was in, where was I? I was in Pittsburgh last year, and there was this, I don't know, he had to be like around anywhere from 10 to 12 years old. Can't remember exactly, but I saw him walking up with a friend of his, and he's like, I just wanted to say hello, and it's like really great to meet you, and it's like, I really love the film, and I'm like, how old are you? It's like, are you sure you should be watching this movie?
They should not be watching your character or anything.
He seems premature for his age, though, I gotta say. And I think he said he kind of snuck watching the film or something like that, or maybe he saw it with his dad. I don't remember exactly, but you know, you're talking. It's like now. I think probably third generations are now starting to kind of watch the film as well. So that actually is kind of a little freaky to get, you know, in your system a little bit.
Yeah, I guess it has to be, but yeah, I guess enough time has passed that you could have kids coming up and saying, yeah, my mom and dad love your movie. But hey, that just, again, it means look how long this thing has stood the test of time, and I think it will be for forever. I mean, it was a historic comedy, and you're still going. So, I mean, let's talk about what you have going on right now. Are you still actively doing work in film or theater, or what is your acting focus at this point?
Well, I am still actively pursuing an acting career. What can I say? You know, once I moved out here to LA back in '98, it was like starting all over again, and it's a struggle to kind of hold your head above water out here. It's not easy by any means. I had come out here kind of testing the waters and kind of fell in love with LA back in '97. And like I said, I never expected to move out here, and here I did. I did the move. But they kind of say if you survive the year out here, the first year, even the first 6 months, then you know you'll probably be here for the long haul, because the first 6 months and the first year are really the hardest. Finding a job was not quite that easy. You know, just even a stable job, you know, you pay the bills kind of thing. So, I mean, I have my day job. I do have my day job, and I pursue an acting career. I'm also a hair and makeup artist, and I've worked behind the scenes as well on various projects. And not too long ago, I kind of started doing photography, something that I've actually had an interest in since I was pretty young. But, you know, kind of going back to that, when I was young, I didn't realize I could actually make a living off of some of the things that we saw. I just thought it's like, oh, you got to grow up and work in an office. That's all I knew. So I started kind of doing some photography, kind of trying to focus a little bit more with actors' headshots, being that I do hair and makeup and being an actress, always and trying to do it the way that I always went out there looking for a headshot photographer for myself. I didn't want to just kind of sit in front of the camera and pose. I'm an actress. I'm not a model.
Right.
So I kind of developed my own technique. So, you know, I try to do it all there. It just kind of leaves me with little time to do a lot of other things. But, you know, I'm able to live out here. I wouldn't say comfortably, but I do the best that I can. And I still network and meet people through the conventions, and I've worked on some other independent films, and have some other possible projects maybe lined up for the rest of the year, and there have been some that were there as well, but you just kind of never know what's going to happen. And again, you know, this is the film industry. You never do know what's going to happen. So some of those projects fell through. Some of them are still kind of lingering up there in the air, kind of waiting for them to fall in my lap. And, you know, so to find out what's actually going to happen with those. But, you know, when you have your passion, you don't give up. You just kind of keep moving along.
Yeah, and the fact that you're still there, you're still going for your passion. You've got multiple passions. I mean, that seems like a winning situation for you. You're staying busy, and you've got a life that you've built. You're not just someone who had a dream, packed up their things, moved out there, and disappeared from the face of the earth. You've built a life there. So, hey, to me, that's the kind of person that anything could happen at any time. But I have to ask you, I know you're pretty down on your star power. You don't think that you've got much a name recognitions, et cetera, but there's got to be some situations where you're, working at your day job or somewhere in civilian life, some people have to recognize you. Have you experienced that?
I have. Not quite as much lately in the last few years as in the past, but occasionally it still does happen.
Does it get embarrassing at any point? Do they immediately go to the most obnoxious, most embarrassing traits of your most well-known character?
Mostly at the conventions, there's always the number that comes out, and I have no problem with that at all.
Is that part of your autograph?
Sometimes it is. Yeah, sometimes it is. Everybody wants to be number 38. I'm like, you know how old that is? You got to be original with the number now. It's been 20 years. It's like, come on, you don't want to be like everybody else.
People do people seriously do that? Have you seriously been approached in a legit manner with a request to be number 38, thinking that it's going to work?
Well, as far as like what I put down on the autograph photo or anything like that, but I will say this. There is a way to approach a person, and for the most part, I can take the joke. But, if there is that fine line of how people kind of take it to a certain degree, and that can be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I would think so.
And mostly it happened when I kind of sort of got into a regular relationship, and then certain comments would come out, and that actually was a bit much, maybe. And a little weird and uncomfortable.
So that's interesting. I was more picturing the scenario of being in a social environment at a bar or something like that, and somebody just feeling their oats a little bit. But
here's the situation. I'm not really a bar person.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. You don't want to.
I gotta say that lots of times when I've been in certain places, people wouldn't expect it to be me. Sometimes it's my voice that has kind of given me away a little bit, and there'll be times and moments where people say, you know who you look like? It's like you kind of sound like her a little bit too, because they didn't expect that it actually would be me.
Right.
And so I just kind of look at them and like, I don't know. It's like, and as a hair and makeup artist, I go to weddings, and sometimes people are like, you guys, you look familiar, and I just kind of look at them like, gee, I don't know.
It's like a secret identity.
So it's especially working on weddings and things like that. I'm here as a hair and makeup artist. I'm working on the bride. This is her day. I don't want to be taken away from the moment. Now there are moments that they knew who I was right off the bat, and so trying to downplay it as much as possible, because I felt weird for myself. When this is like the day for the bride, but then sometimes the bride would, actually for the most part, the bride would be like, oh, this is so cool, and make sure to take photos.
Right. And, I would think overall most people would be thrilled, if you're somebody that they enjoyed or someone that they liked in Clerks or whatever the case may be, it's probably a benefit. It's probably one of those things that you're selling yourself short on. This could be a good lure for you. You need to really put that
I know most people will probably take advantage of the whole thing, and I was brought up in a certain way that it's hard for me to kind of do that.
Gotcha. Yeah, too much of maybe a little too much spotlight. Not something you're looking for in that situation.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's more of people taking advantage of the situation and just kind of, putting, like, well, how about we do this and do that? And that's probably how people get ahead most of the time. But I am the type of person that I don't just go ask. It's like, hey, do you have a role for me? And more the subtle types.
Right. The old-fashioned way. Nothing wrong with that.
I hope that they come to me for my abilities. I don't know.
Hey, that's the noble way to do it. It's probably not common. It's something that you commonly see around you, but there's definitely something admirable about that. So that's great. Let's talk about the website again. Let people know where they can find you, because you're still doing what you do. You're still acting. You're still entertaining opportunities, and you're still out there. So this website is your name, which I guess I should probably spell it for the world. It's Marilyn. You guys can spell that. Ghigliotti, Ghigliotti.com. This is where you can find all things Marilyn, including photos, a demo reel, resume, some information about your voiceover work, which is pretty cool. A store. I didn't even look at the store. What do we have for sale here? Photos.
Photos that I actually take to the conventions with me.
Okay.
Some of they're stills from Clerks, actually. And then, I also have some other photos as well that I just don't have up there, but basically they're for the same prices they would be at the conventions, along with shipping and handling.
Gotcha. And there's also a note here, which is something I'm seeing a lot of pop up just in the last month or so, to purchase a live phone call from yours truly. Is that a service you're still offering?
Well, that was a company, Hollywood is Calling. They approached me about doing this, and so, it is something that's there. I've never had anybody go ahead and do this, but I saw a lot of other people that I know, celebrity-wise, that are on this site, and so I figured, okay, well, what the heck, I'll give it a try and see.
Well, folks, I can attest to the fact that lots of fun to talk to Marilyn on the phone. So if you're interested, that's definitely something you'd want to check out on here. You also have an email video greeting card opportunity as well. So that'd be kind of a cool thing to get for perhaps a Clerks fan.
Mm-hmm. And then I also have voiceovers that I've actually started doing, and so I have some demos on that as well.
Yep, I see that. There's a whole section just for the voiceover. That's got to be a lot of fun.
It is, yes. I'm in the middle of an audiobook right now that I have to get started on, actually.
Gotcha. Always things going on. Well, Marilyn, it's been awesome having you on this show. I really do appreciate you giving an insight not just into your career, but just that whole period of time that, if you think about it, one of the hallmark things from the 90s, which is what we're all about here, was the emergence of Clerks, was you, the rest of the cast. So it's awesome to get your insight onto that time, catch up with you. What's going on now? Is there anything else that you want to plug or you want to promote? Like I said, I do the audiobooks. I'm on Facebook. Everybody can find me on Facebook, and that's where I pretty much kind of let everybody know what's going on with my life. I'm pretty open. Anybody's welcome to friend me, and if you got questions, I pretty much answer them. And I'm also on Twitter, that Clerks Girl, at Twitter. And then, I've got the audiobooks. I've got a film that's actually in post-production right now called Starship Rising. That one actually is pretty fun, independent sci-fi kind of thing, and he's looking to hopefully film the third part, because it's like he did, Neil Johnson is the writer-director. He already did 2 back-to-back on that one, so he's looking to do a third on that sometime this year. And then possibly Clerks 3 in the near future. And hey, if you guys out there want to see Marilyn back in front of your face in Clerks 3, maybe maybe some industrious young person out there can start one of these newfangled social media campaigns. Get a petition together, make a movement happen. I think it's a worthwhile cause.
Well, hey, the script is written already, and that's, I mean, this is what he says. But, I'm not counting the chickens before they hatch.
Do you know, is this actually supposed to be a live-action thing? Has that been decided upon? Or
I have no idea.
There's lots of mystery around this for one of the most vocal people in all of the movie industry, but yet somehow there still remains a lot of mystery. But I guess we'll all see what happens in the future. Hopefully Marilyn will be a part of it. And Marilyn, we want to once again thank you so much for being a part of this show today.
Oh, thank you. It's been a really nice interview.
Great. I appreciate it. And folks, this has been Down with the 90s. We will see you next week. I am Gerry Strauss. Thanks.